Lindsay. I did my Real Utopias project on the Earth Island Institute for NLM 572 with Arizona State University. So this is just a quote that's on the Earth Island Institute's website that kind of speaks to their mission and their goals. Through their work, it says, "We do this work because we revere the miracle of the natural world, its beauty and wholeness, and we believe that reversing the perilous environmental course we are on requires all of us to step up, connect, and to take action." So Earth Island was founded in 1982 by an environmentalist named David Brower. According to its website, Earth Island is the organizational home to more than 200 grassroots environmental action projects. It's made up of several arms of the organization, including an environmental action group, engaging youth in environmental protection through their Brower Youth Awards and New Leaders initiatives, publishing the Earth Island Journal as a print resource on environmental preservation, and a legal service called the Earth Island Advocates that focuses on legal protection for irreplaceable resources, wild spaces, and wildlife that are critical to a healthy planet. So in researching the Earth Island Institute, I came up with 5 research questions that I was pretty interested in looking into. The first was, when Earth Island was founded, what was David Brower's main intention for the mission of the organization? Did he envision it growing the way that it has, or has that growth been more organic in response to need? Number 2, how does the Earth Island Institute utilize staff, volunteer resources, and whatnot to accomplish its goals? Is there innovative resource utilization occurring at an organizational level? Question number 3 was, what research does Earth Island do into their own services, and has any research been conducted by unaffiliated parties to determine if their methods of conservation are effective? Number 4, what are Earth Island's plans for the future of the organization? Are they pleased with where they're at and planning to remain there? Are they looking for ways to grow the organization or get involved with new or different initiatives? And then number 5, does Earth Island work with other organizations to create cross-collaboration within the field of environmental preservation or beyond that sector? So question 1, when Earth Island was founded, what was David Brower's main intention for the mission of the organization? And did he envision it growing the way it has, or has that growth been more organic in response to need? So there's several pieces of information here. Most of it is from earthisland.org. There's also some information here from the browercenter.org. So David Brower was an elite rock climber. He made many of the first ascents into the Sierra Nevada mountains, among others, was part of teams and solo climbs that was like the very first summit of multiple mountains within the Sierra Nevada mountain range. He was hired as the first executive director of the Sierra Club in 1952. He served as executive director with the Sierra Club for 13 years and was actually forced out as executive director in 1975 because 2 years prior, the Sierra Club had actually lost its designation as a nonprofit organization, partially due to some questionable legal advocacy choices that he had made as the executive director. He then went on to found several nonprofit organizations, including the Friends of Youth, the League of Conservation Voters, and the Earth Island Institute. Brower's advocacy led to the sanctioning of 9 national parks in the United States, including Kings Canyon National Park, Redwoods National Park, and Point Reyes National Seashore. His intent in founding Earth Island Institute was that it would be an incubator organization that fosters and supports activist projects all around the world. And since its founding, Earth Island Institute has, in fact, served as the organizational home to more than 200 grassroots environmental action programs or projects. So Brower often credited his childhood in the hills around his Berkeley, California home with founding his environmentalism. Earth Island Institute carries this legacy by focusing on youth activism and youth awards for young environmental leaders. So Brower's vision that activism begins as a child is something that the Earth Island Institute is definitely upholding. Brower also spent a lot of his time and focus on political lobbying, which is a primary tenet of the Earth Island Institute, as well as legal protection for wildlands and species throughout the United States. So Earth Island Institute is also carrying this portion of Brower's legacy through their legal protection arms called the Earth Island Advocates. So overall, for question 1, David Brower intended to found an organization that could foster environmental projects all over the world and to serve as a hub that could provide financial and legal support, advocacy, and other services to help environmental projects succeed. From this intent, the Earth Island Institute was founded and has grown in a way that fully inhabits this original mission. Brower placed high value on legal protection and lobbying, as well as on youth involvement in environmental preservation. As the Earth Island Institute has branched out from a program support to include youth programs and legal preservation, they have adhered directly to Brower's values and his vision for successful environmental protection. So question number 2 is, how does Earth Island utilize staff, volunteers, and resources to accomplish its goals? And is there an innovative resource utilization occurring at an organizational level? So on their website, Earth Island Institute lists 10 board members and 18 paid staff, including an executive director, chief legal counsel, and several directors of various programs. Their IRS Form 990 from 2017 lists a total revenue of $14,352,706, of which $12,436,028 was obtained through contributions and grants. So clearly a large portion of their annual revenue comes through grant and contribution funding. This form also shows that in 2017, over $5 million was paid out as staff salaries. Now, on their Form 990, organizations are only required to break down specific salaries of what are considered vital staff. So that would be like executive directors, CEOs, presidents, that kind of thing. So 5 of the 18 paid staff that are listed on their website are also listed on their Form 990 as vital staff. And each of these 5 staff have salaries over $100,000. So this leads me to the conclusion that there are more than the above listed 18 people on paid staff at Earth Island Institute, because I couldn't imagine the other, 13 staff being paid the remaining $4.9 million in salary and not being considered vital employees. Despite focusing on legal advocacy, Earth Island Institute only lists around $10,000 is spent on lobbying on the 2017 Form 990, which is not entirely uncommon. Nonprofit organizations can only spend a very, 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 very small percentage of their revenue every year on lobbying to still maintain their nonprofit status. This is what David Brower got into trouble with in the 70s before he was forced out of as the executive director of the Sierra Club. And so I would imagine that Earth Island pays really close attention to how much money they're actually spending on lobbying activities on an annual basis. So one of the primary functions of Earth Island Institute is to serve as a hub for environmental projects all over the world. According to their financial statements and their audit for their fiscal year ending on June 30th, 2018, they say Earth Island provides these projects with governance, administration, human resources, and other capacity building services. This document lists 77 programs that Earth Island facilitated in this fiscal year. And these programs have a wide array of focuses. All of the ones listed on their audit documents for this fiscal year were agriculture and food systems, clean energy and climate change, conservation, preservation, and restoration, environmental education, environmental justice, indigenous rights, ocean and water, pollution and toxics, sustainability and community resilience, wildlife protection, women's environmental leadership, and youth empowerment. And so essentially what this is saying is that the majority of their spending on their program management or program support arm is used for all different kinds of things. So they provide governance services, they provide financial funding, but they also can provide like human resources services, administration services to organizations as part of their program support focus, so that organizations and initiatives can focus their own resources specifically on the environmental programs and goals that they have. So overall, for my second question, according to their financial statements and organizational makeup, Earth Island Institute is successfully operating and fulfilling its mission. While it's unclear how innovative their utilization of staff or volunteers might be, or their resource management really is, it is clear that they're operating a successful and ethical organization. GuideStar.org, which is a nonprofit information center and watchdog organization, has Earth Island Institute ranked as a platinum organization. This is the highest ranking they can give to an organization and essentially means that the organization maintains significant financial transparency and responsibility. The use of their vast resource pool to support environmental projects all over the world may not be a new concept in general, but it certainly feels innovative and collaborative, and it obviously has been highly successful for Earth Island Institute thus far. So question number 3 is, what research does Earth Island do into their own services, and has any research been conducted by unaffiliated parties to determine if their methods of conservation are effective? So Earth Island does not have like in-house or independent impact studies readily available on their website, but they do publish information on the entirety of their project list, as well as success and impact studies from a selection of programs that they support. So you can go to their website and you can see all 77 programs that they currently have under their program support umbrella. And then you can look up each of those programs. Each one kind of has a little short blurb about the program itself and then connection to that program's website or online information about that program. So you could do a little bit of your own research into impact and effectiveness of the smaller programs that they're supporting. Charity Navigator, which is another kind of nonprofit watchdog, it's an organization that rates nonprofits in an effort to determine their transparency and their overall effectiveness, rates Earth Island an 88.24 out of 100 possible rating points, and gives it 3 out of 4 stars. So this is a combined score. This 88.24 is a combined score, and it's made up of a financial rating and then an accountability and transparency rating. So their financial rating was an 83.37 out of 100. I wasn't able to get specific details on how they come to this rating, how they determine the financial, how Charity Navigator determines their financial rating, but they essentially look at like income and percentage of resources that are spent on salaries versus mission-driven spending and things of that nature. And then they received a score of 100 out of 100 in accountability and transparency. So essentially what that means is that Earth Island Institute is very accountable to how they spend their money and very transparent in providing that information to the public. So Charity Navigator also teams with Global Giving, which is another nonprofit and charity watchdog organization, and makes their assessment information available as well on the organizational page on charitynavigator.com. Global Giving rates Earth Island Institute as a partner. These Global Giving ratings are used to reward nonprofits that demonstrate listening to people they serve, learning and improving their impact. So of organizations assessed in 2019 by Global Giving, 52% of these organizations assessed as partner, which is the status that was awarded to the Earth Island Institute. And this is their third highest ranking. So the next ranking up would be leader. Only 22% of organizations assessed were given the ranking of leader. And then the top ranking is superstar, and 26% of organizations assessed were ranked as superstar. Earth Island's Charity Navigator and Global Giving scores actually compare really well with other high-performing environmental organizations. So if you're looking at the top 6 or the top 5 environmental organizations on Charity Navigator's website, the number 1 performing organization is the Amazon Conservation Team, which is headquartered out of Virginia, I believe, and they receive a 99.06 out of 100 for a combined score and 4 out of 4 stars. The number 2 performing is the Walden Woods Project, which is a 94.47 out of 100, and 4 out of 4 stars. Number 3 performing is Greenpeace, which is a 92.38 out of 100 with 4 out of 4 stars. Next is the Earth Island Institute. So it's the number 4 performing environmental impact group that was rated by Charity Navigator on their website at 88.24 combined score out of 100 and 3 out of 4 stars. And then the number 5 performing is the Isaac Walton League of America with 85.81 out of 100 and 3 out of 4 stars. So while the Earth Island Institute doesn't necessarily make any independent impact studies available on their website, it's not difficult to at least find some impact and effectiveness information through Charity Navigator, GuideStar, and Global Giving. Each of these charity watchdog groups gives Earth Island high ratings, which should encourage donors and supporters. It was difficult to find any significant independent studies that went more in depth regarding Earth Island's impact on the environment or their effectiveness as an organization. Question number 4, what are Earth Island's plans for the future of the organization? Are they pleased with where they're at and planning to remain there? Or are they looking for ways to grow the organization and get involved with new and or different initiatives? So Earth Island Institute does not have any directly available information on their website regarding future plans for the organization, and there's no information to be found from independent parties that's readily available on the internet. It appears as though Earth Island is currently planning to continue operating as they have up to this point. Considering that they just founded and launched their legal advocacy coalition in 2017, it would stand to reason that they maybe are currently not in plans for significant organizational change at this time. Earth Island Institute is always taking applications from initiatives for funding and support, so they have program change on a regular basis, but their primary arms of service probably aren't going through any significant change in the near future, and if they are, it's not something that the organization has made public at this point. Question 5, does Earth Island work with other organizations to create cross-collaboration within the field of environmental preservation or beyond their sector? So seeing as the primary focus of the Earth Island Institute is support and leadership for environmental protection initiatives all over the world, Earth Island Institute highly values and engages in collaboration with other organizations all the time. On their website, Earth Island provides a comprehensive list of all of the projects that they are involved with at any given time, including a small blurb about the project and a link to the project or organization's website. They do not, however, explain the kind of support they are providing to a specific project or organization. So if you'll remember, we talked about in general the kinds of support that they could be providing to organizations, including financial and grant funding support, as well as like administrative, human resources, planning, all of that kind of stuff, legal advocacy, but they don't say specifically what their involvement is for each individual program of the 77 that they currently have active on their website. Outside of their program support services, the most collaboration that's readily visible on their website is through their legal arm, the Earth Island Advocates. The Earth Island Advocates state that they regularly collaborate with other organizations by combining the knowledge and expertise of our grassroots project network with the pro bono resources of law firms, legal clinics, and nonprofit organizations. This model creates a unique and highly effective relationship between the lawyers who advocate in the courts and the environmental activists who dedicate their efforts to a wide array of specific issues. So essentially, what they're doing here, they have one primary counsel on staff with the Earth Island Institute, but so they wouldn't be able to engage in every legal advocacy program or legal advocacy need that they've found right across the country and across the world. But what they do is they partner with law firms, private law firms, public legal clinics, things of that nature. So that when an organization comes to them with a legal need, they can then connect them to a local organization that they're a partner with, so that that local law firm or that local legal clinic can then support that organization. Being that the Earth Island's primary function is to be a hub for environmental protection and preservation initiatives across the United States, it is inherent that they would be collaborating heavily within their sector to accomplish this task. In addition to their inter-sector collaboration, Earth Island Institute also collaborates with organizations outside of the environmental sector by connecting environmental organizations with legal services and cultivating relationships with law firms and other legal organizations to make pro bono and other legal services available to environmental causes. So overall conclusions on the Earth Island Institute after conducting my research. It's clear that they are a highly successful and transparent organization that values environmental preservation, conservation, and advocacy. Earth Island Institute has been in operation for over 30 years after its founding by David Brower, and has spent that time focused on preserving natural spaces and species throughout the world and providing others with the resources necessary to do the same. Earth Island Institute is innovative in its approach to conservation and recognizes that people and communities must be involved in this mission for it to be successful. Some opportunities for further research. I was unable to find significant information about Earth Island Institute from their website and other websites online. I was able to find significant information about Earth Island Institute from their website and from other websites online, but I was unable to reach anyone at the organization to get information from them. I think having been able to speak with somebody who is employed by Earth Island Institute would have given me a lot more in-depth information, especially in regards to inquiring about the future of the organization and what their plans are moving forward, as well as specifically in relation to that first research question I had about whether or not the organization has really followed the trajectory that the founder had planned, or if the trajectory of the organization has significantly changed based on need or impact of current events since its founding over 30 years ago. There was also information about the impact and ethics of Earth Island Institute available online, but it was pretty sparse. GuideStar, Charity Navigator, and Global Giving all provided some information, but a lot of the information that their efficacy ratings are based on is actually provided by the organization itself. So you have to kind of take that information with a grain of salt, right? Further research, specifically an in-depth efficacy study, is really necessary to determine if the Earth Island Institute is operating as an ethical and financially responsible organization. So there's just the references that I used, primarily wilderness.net, earthisland.org, charitynavigator.org, guidestar.org, and the Brower Center. Remember, all of my global giving information actually came from the Earth Island Institute's page on charitynavigator.org.